Welcome back to Sci-Fi Book Trek. Today we'll be doing spoilers for the Star Trek novel Losing the Peace. So, if you haven't read, don't watch any further.
Now, first things first.
Okay, well no, let's start with the title. Losing the Peace.
Mm-hmm.
One, they name the book in the book.
And you people, you're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
They actually say losing the peace in the book, which I'm not 100% sure I'm like he was done in a nice way. I'm not 100% sure I'm really happy with. But two, I don't lose the peace.
No, but the implication is that they...
Yeah, but it's like yeah. They don't lose the peace.
No. My first instinct was, did you find any instances of the word brooding?
Yes, right at the end. There's one. There's one. At least one. There might be two.
Mm.
I found it. I mean, to be fair, brooding is in Rama as well.
Yes, but
yeah.
My point is...
No. The thing is, it didn't jump out to me. It didn't leap out. Because, like I said, it seemed like it was more... The writing was more well written. To me. Like, the prose were better, and, like, everything it brought up as, like, references to previous, it gave you a quick, like, a brief, like, this is it.
Yes.
As opposed to Destiny, which it would just mention it and just move on.
Yes, but...
And hope you'd get it.
But that's the thing. In that respect, this is a book that you would not get without reading the Destiny series. For me.
Let's move on to nitpick, shall we? Right. Now, my first nitpick is the Mogadishu, I would say, I think it's the capital of the African Confederation.
Mm.
When was it colonized by America? They are, one, in a high school, which appears to be a college, what we would call it.
Yes.
A high school, what Americans call it. They're playing soccer. They're sitting on bleachers.
This is the Geordie LaForge.
Yes.
Speaks with his sister bit.
They're sitting on bleachers. They've got disposable cups for drinking out of.
Mm.
And it's all done at the Zephyrin Cochrane High School.
Yes. Because
what? East African loves American cowboys?
That admittedly is one of the things that...
Like, it feels like this has just been transposed from... I don't know.
Saved by the Bell.
Yes! Or like any generic American college. And like, the teams they're playing, they're like, what? The Flyers versus the Scorpions.
Mm. I know what you mean, and
I know it's only it's a nitpick.
No, it's a completely valid nitpick, because when you think of the Star Trek utopian ideal, the ideal is that it's not just America has basically Americanized the planet. The idea is that you have everyone on the same sort of technological level, but they still have those cultural differences that make them unique.
Yeah. I mean, it does mention this region was destroyed during the Third World War.
Yes. And
but still, it's like, what, did America rebuild it?
Yeah, and...
Because that's what it felt like.
And it does become a little bit of an issue, because you would still think that you would want to retain cultural heritage. You
Yeah.
would want to retain national pride in the area, even if the
yeah.
buildings look the same as Americans.
Yeah.
You would still say that, they're still
You
going
would probably
to be taught.
rename them to,
Exactly. It wouldn't be Zephyr and Cochrane.
Yeah.
It would be
Probably the
that's
first
showing my
East African to, do a warp jump.
Yeah, or the one fella, showing my ignorance now, but it was I believe it was an African gentleman who first came up with the concept of it was either transfusion or it was organ organ I need to interject here again, as this is a point that I feel I do really need to give praise for, as it shows someone has gone above and beyond the call of duty to maintain continuity. So in response to my co-host's argument, it's actually canon that Geordie went to Zephyr and Cochrane High School. That's established in the TNG film First Contact.
I probably shouldn't even tell you this, but I went to Zephyr and Cochrane High School.
But we can actually go deeper. There's a blink and you'll miss it point in the episode Cause and Effect, where it's shown on screen that Geordie's birthplace is in fact Mogadishu in Somalia. That's also not an understatement, it literally is blink and you'll miss it, it's a frame. It's something that would have been so easy to fudge, but Leisner made the effort to maintain continuity.
Yeah. It just annoyed me that it was being portrayed very American. I tell you what, I'll let you talk for a bit. What do you want to talk upon?
Themes, but I've already pointed out the fact that it's a lot more serious as a story. So I've already mentioned this.
You say a lot more serious. The problem is, one, the Pacifians.
Yes.
They are known for their hospitality, apparently. It takes them maybe a few hours, maybe a week. You don't really get a firm timeline to become. Oh no!
Extremely
we're all military universe. We've all got military guns. We're going to push these people around as soon as they get off the transporter and do a force march into the woods. Why isn't there any hostesses just going, calm down, don't worry? And you could still have your military people. But for the first few weeks, I would see at least, if they're known for their hospitality, they would have hostesses or,
Yes, but
hosts going, oh, calm down, don't worry, we're going to take you out, we're taking you to account. Explaining stuff. It might be one for every 100 refugees that pass through. But there would be something.
Yes, but it
feels like it automatically. It feels like it wants to skip 6 months.
They do make a point that the people that are there, the people that are managing the refugee crisis, that you've got one person that literally goes, put a hand on scanner. And that's how it's written in the book. It's like, there's no spaces. Put your hand on the scanner. Yeah, and I think she doesn't even realise that she's talking to Beverly Crusher. It's like, no, I'm not a refugee.
She's not even a Pacifian, is she? I think
she's Acton.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It feels like it's gone. This has gone longer in time than it states.
I don't know whether that was shortened in order to try and manufacture. Well, yeah, not even a manufactured crisis, because it is.
But also,
it is supposed to be a microcosm of what's happening across the entire.
This kind of brings me on another nitpick, which might break everything. All these refugees came in ships.
Yes.
They're still in orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them, I mean, one's like a cruise liner.
Is it?
Yeah, the one
The one
from
from Riser?
Riser.
I mean,
I think it's. I mean, it might be like a local cruise liner around Riser, but it's like a party ship. But there's quite a few people on it. So why can't?
to be fair, it did seem like it was very overloaded.
Yes. Don't get me wrong, it's very overloaded. But you could at least use some of the ships to house some people in better accommodations. Take off some of the strain, or refuel some of the ships. Give them, refuel the replicators and stuff. And then try to find somewhere which will take them in. You don't have to rely on Federation ship turning up going, yeah, we'll take this many. You've got all these ships still just sitting there in orbit.
But I think the point is that it's
carried all these people here. It's not like they came here by raft, which sank.
Yeah. But I think the point is that it's such a massive crisis on such a massive scale.
Yeah.
No one's aware of what's going on. The Federation have been completely decimated, so they're trying to get a hold on it, but completely.
I understand what he's trying to do. The problem is those ships disappear like they're disposable rafts. Not even when the Enterprise comes in and goes, well, we could maybe make like a little flotilla. Get people on board and then escort them somewhere else.
Yes.
And then we can have a load of people on the Enterprise and a load of people on the ships.
I don't know. Like I say, it's an attempt to sort of bring a little bit of real world political issues. I mean, I would say it does better. It does better in this after a bloody, Okay, you have not watched any of the new.
No, sorry. After what? If you were going to say after Destiny, I would have said. What?
I was going to say after a crisis that has basically decimated the entire Alpha Quadrant and part of the Beta Quadrant.
Yeah, but that's the thing. For me, it was too narrow. It focused on one camp on a planet full of a load of camps. And it might be the biggest. We felt like it's a story that need to be told, but one, it felt like you didn't do much with it. It dragged on, and then suddenly, Enterprise is here, problem solved. It just felt quickly wrapped up and resolved just because the Enterprise showed up. That was my issue with it. It just felt so drawn out.
It does feel a bit pat ending. I'm not
and
gonna.
then suddenly, Picard.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you. The fact that if Picard was available and able to fix, if they had the ships to basically send a sovereign class vessel to every single trouble spot. But I think that's the point, is that, Picard turning up and fixing that one camp, that one brush fire, it's a symptom of the greater issue, is that, if they had enough resources to be able to do that, they would be, but it's being able to make it work with what they have, and what they have is not what they're used to dealing with, because the Federation has been so used to dealing with this post-scarcity economy where everything comes out of a replicator. No one ever has to want for anything. And the one time when you have a tragedy on this sort of scale and everyone's like, they kind of pull insular and sort of become very defensive of their own, as shown with the, the couple of political figures that feature in the later.
That's from all the political figures feel like humans. They all feel like, oh, we need to look after our own at a time like this. We would love to help, but we can't. Let me go smoke my cigar.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, everyone felt like a human character rather than these are supposed to be alien races, different cultures. Yeah.
I mean, there is a very human-centric element, apart from the Pacificans, the Selkies, rather. They really are the only other race that features. I mean, you could say Rysian, but Rysians are basically humanoid, look like humans, and have very little in terms of distinguishing features that you would put them on an alien. You could look at a Rysian and say, oh, they're human. Actually, maybe not. But, I mean, the Rysian cultural aspects of everything we have is yours.
All that is ours is yours.
Kind of comes across when you're looking at the character of Arandis. And she has to kind of almost be switched by the end of the show, because it's like she's so used to being a hostess dealing with other people, and by the end of it, she's finally realizing that actually I have to apply some self-care in this instance. I think I need, to look after myself.
That's the thing. I would have rather had more with her. I mean, you could have completely deleted the Dingleberry, Wheeler, was it? The drunk. Yeah, it's just like,
because you get the impression that he doesn't do anything.
No.
Again,
he doesn't know what to do.
That whole utopian ideal with the post-scarcity economy, he feels like the type of person who's completely anti-federation. He's not doing anything to, to bring up his status in the world, to be better. He's drifting through life, basically getting shit-faced on any planet and fucking everything he can on Riser, which is why he was there.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel like...
Well, like, at the end, he's like, oh no, I'm going to Tellarite the planet.
I'm going to say Tellar.
Yeah, well, he said,
yeah.
Oh, well, I'm going to there. Like, what? Oh, that's just something. Like, it's implied that he's maybe given up alcohol and he's trying to do something. But what? Who knows? It felt like there was no real resolution to his story.
But the idea that Star Trek was trying to espouse was that, mankind has reached the level...
purpose.
Yeah, mankind has reached the level where you don't have to earn money to keep yourself alive. You can do what you want.
What you have passion for.
Yes, and perfect that. And lead it to the stage where you have become the expert in that field because you want to be the expert in that field, rather than, I need to pay the bills.
Well, you could argue he's an expert in wine and alcohol.
I mean, you
Who
could.
knows? Yeah,
Perhaps.
I think it's too narrow a focus. It focused too much on Beverly. I understand. No, I don't understand why. It focused too much on Beverly. I like. It's nice. Don't get me wrong. It's nice to have Beverly fleshed out. It focused too much on Beverly, too much on the camp, and everything else seems incidental. And then at the end, everything's quickly wrapped up. Even Picard, where it's like, oh no, Alpha Centauri might, what is it?
Secede from the Federation.
Secede. Yeah. Not just withdraw from the Federation. No. Secede. Because everything's fucking American.
Anyway, that's neither the point. Look, I'd agree with you for Beverly, because there was a certain amount where when she's trying to tell Kalahata about the relationship that she and Jack Crusher had, that seemed to make sense within the concept of, what Kalahata's going through.
And Beverly telling the story, yeah.
Yeah, and having to reconcile between
That
having
all
her
seemed-
Starfleet career and having a family and making that work. That much I got. But, I do agree with you that as the time went on and you start to get into the elements where it's like, yeah, we're learning more about Crusher, but what does this have to do with the story?
I mean, I can see where
feel connected.
It sort of fits in with some of the themes of the story.
Loosely?
Loosely.
Dealing with grief, perhaps? But
dealing with grief, but also learning to follow, the beat of your own drum, but also, your passions, what you want to do. Don't limit yourself.
Mm.
And I can understand, how it fits in with some of the themes. But it did feel, could we spend more time looking at another part of the universe?
Mm. But they did
could we have, Baco? Or, other stuff?
I mean, I could have done without the bits with Geordie. Apart from maybe the starting bit where he's
the starting bit was okay. It's a good setup.
Yes, because it's dealing with his survivor's guilt.
Yes.
That at least makes sense,
Which
and that
I thought
contributes
would be more of the book. Of, everyone's survivor's guilt. Really isn't.
Yeah, it's touched on.
I mean, it's touched on near the end. It's touched on a bit more,
Well, I mean,
who gets to live, who gets to die, stuff.
There's a touch of it within the story where they're talking to the counselor, and the counselor's like, "Yeah, I'm having to see virtually every single one of my patients is the same sort of situation. They've lost friends, they've lost family. Why me? Why them?" Questions.
Yeah.
And
I mean, also, it did feel there's just one counsellor. It felt like on the Enterprise there's one counsellor, but on the Titan there was 5.
I don't know. I think the
I mean,
counselor
he might be the head counsellor, and you can't see the others.
I think he is
That's
supposed to
fair,
have a team.
But it did come across as
That
he's
he was
the
the
only
only
one.
Yeah.
Which seemed a bit okay, sure.
I mean, you are right, because Councillor Troy essentially heads up the entire counselling team on
Well, I mean, on the original TNG, you would be forgiven to think there is only Councillor Troy, and there's no other counsellor.
But in the same way that you could be forgiven for thinking that Crusher was the only doctor.
Yeah. But occasionally you would see,
at Ogawa, and you would see some of the other...
You would see some of the others. You wouldn't see another counsellor, I don't think.
No.
But anyway.
I liked Chowdhury's journey.
Right.
Just, they did quite a good job of fleshing out her character, fleshing out her ideals. You go on this roller coaster of emotions with her where it goes from, oh God, they're dead. I know they're dead. I've just lost my entire family. Oh, there's a chance that they could be alive. Little bit of hope. And then she's kind of pinning that and then thinking, but if they did take that out...
See, that's the thing. I never got that. Not the little bit of hope. She always knew, they're dead.
But that was the thing.
That's the voice back of it. They're dead. And other people are going, oh, there might be a chance.
But
And
that-
she's
that-
just going. "Oh, there's
But
no
that's
one."
the thing. She knows her family,
Yeah,
and she knows her family wouldn't have taken that out, wouldn't have taken that option.
mm,
But there's still that thing of, but if they did, they survived. But then if they didn't, if they did, they survived. But if they did, that means they gave, they took a space away from someone else. And how do I ratify that? And she's kind of working that over in her head, because if she suddenly finds that, oh my God, my family's alive,
like
how dare you take a space away from someone else who should have needed it?
no. I think that was her justifying that decision.
I don't know.
And she,
And
well, I mean, you got to think.
it would have broken the illusion
Mm.
of.
But how far do you want to take that argument?
It's
Because at
just
some
that
point,
there's a lot of.
she's on a ship which is relatively that has come through unscathed.
Yes.
Lots of other people have died around her, but she's fine. Has she took like if someone else was in her place, would they have done a better job? Would they have survived and she had died?
But that's
And it's
the
like,
whole thing with
it's just-
survivor's guilt and.
Yeah, but it's a hole you can quickly fall down.
Yeah.
Because eventually it comes to, well, I got a chance to live. Other people didn't.
Yeah.
I'm breathing oxygen, which others might use.
Yes.
And it starts to become an existential crisis of existence.
Yes. Which is why
So
so
at
many
some point
people
you've just
fall
got
into
to,
that
yes,
hole.
but at some point you've just got to escape and go, no, this is stupid. I'm worrying about my own existence, that it's a burden upon other people.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to stop this because, one, if everyone thought my way, there would be no life in the universe.
Yes, but.
Two, I'm here having these thoughts. If I wasn't, would the person who replaced me not even care or be squandering
Yeah.
their bountiful resources?
Like Mr. Wheeler. But that's the
It's
problem.
just,
That's how some people can get psychologically. And
yes.
I guess I've kind
Yeah,
of been
I
there, and I can
understand that,
appreciate
but-
from where she's kind of having that psychological crisis. Other people do fall into that thing of, why the hell am I here? Why, I'm taking up air that someone. Literally, people do get
Yes.
that deep in the slump.
Yeah. I understand that at a certain point, but one, should she really, like, at that point, why isn't she being at least temporarily relieved?
Mm-hmm.
And also,
But I think she's being protected by Worf.
yeah, but
That was part of the issue.
Worf should have also gone, hey, look,
Yeah.
stop being stupid.
Hmm.
Because, like, he won't be subtle about it.
I mean,
Like,
Worf
well-
to subtlety is like a brick through a plate glass window,
Yeah,
isn't it?
he's about as subtle as I would be subtle. Chowdhury is probably the most fleshed out character, and like the one with an arc, maybe Chen as well.
Mm.
They're the only ones with real arcs.
Yes, that are resolved within this story. Kadahata as well does resolve her situation. I mean, like you
But
say,
it feels
there
like
is
she's just resolved an argument and then decided, I'll stay at a refugee camp instead of going off across the universe.
But I don't know. There's a lot of character stuff in this that's
But it feels like both Chen and Cowdery are going through grief.
Mm.
Slightly differently, but they're still going through grief. But it doesn't take into account like survivor's guilt. It doesn't really go into that as much. It doesn't go into any other feelings people have.
Well, that's probably a good overall theme for the book, actually, is grief. You've got different people going through the different stages or different experiencing grief in different ways. For Geordie, it is survivor's guilt, however briefly it's touched on.
Mm.
You've got, even 7 of 9. 7 of 9 can't. Yeah, she's in it for like
blink and you miss.
Yeah,
and even then,
but she went through the same
doesn't
experience.
feel like
She's
7 of
supposed to have gone through the same experiences as Jean-Luc, but he's come out of it optimistic as fuck, and she's like, nah. No, I don't believe that the Borg have gone. And she infects everyone else with that idea of...
And that's what I think the 7 of 9 in this book, though brief, isn't the 7 of 9 in the Destiny series at the end.
Mm.
Because it seems like she came away a bit more... Well, there wasn't really a conclusion to it. But it doesn't seem like she was negatively impacted.
Mm.
As much as, like, she pops up briefly in this book, says one sentence, then disappears.
Yeah. But it doesn't feel like she should be going through that.
No.
That's another thing that, again, there's multiple points that lead on to perhaps resolutions in other books. This feels like it's setting up for what goes forward past the Destiny books.
But I don't know. The end, I was left thinking, what had they lost?
Mm.
I mean, when I say what have they lost, I mean in this book. And my conclusion was not a lot, if anything. In fact, they might be stronger at the end than when they started.
Mm. But again, it's
it's sort of a more introspective and journey of grief book. However, I would have preferred to explore a bit more grief from different viewpoints and not different civilization, but like different places all over the Federation, rather than just
couple.
Yeah, but like really 2,
and
then it's touched on a few others briefly.
Okay,
that's my main critique. I mean, it feels like most books, you tend to like it a bit more than I do. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that would be fair. I feel, as I've said before, I keep coming back to this cold splash of water, and maybe that's where I put it in my narrative thing. That the timeline. It's you've had the triumph of Destiny. Now this is the realism of the situation, and it doesn't just completely collapse. You do come back with the idea that, yes, we have been wounded, but we are going to survive and we are going to regrow from this. Because, yeah, okay, if it had gone the other direction and it's like, yep, whole Federation's going to collapse. Not really a setup for a book. I mean, it might be a setup for a slightly darker Federation where, they then are spending several books trying to pull everything back together. But then that would probably lead on to a different series altogether, as opposed to it just being more episodic, which does tend to be the way that this slot is written.
Yeah, well, maybe
Certainly
one
the
day
Titan
we'll
series.
maybe one day we'll get through and read some more.
Mm.
I mean, is there a book after this?
There is a Titan book that is set after that.
Right.
I'm not 100%, and there are other books that certainly follow on from the events of from the events of Destiny, but they are more stories that have been, created as standalones. Like,
Right.
It's almost like saying, okay, these stories are set at this point in the galactic timeline, but you don't necessarily need to know what happened. You just have to have like the basic overview notes, and you can operate with the basic overview notes when reading those books. With this one, you can't without the Destiny books, because it's such an integral part to the. That's my argument.
Yeah, I would say. Because it does. Whenever it brings up something, it does give you a quick sentence or two about it. So I reckon it's more reasonable standalone than you think. I would say.
Right.
I mean, yes, it does help that you know what happened, but honestly, as long as you know the broad strokes of what happens at the end of Destiny books, I think you can perfectly read this.
Again, that's where you and I will disagree. I think it does.
As long as you know what happens in the end of Destiny, I think you can.
I don't know.
But anyway, well, I won't go into it anymore because we've run out of time. I will say, one, there's a mention of the Hood as a starship. So that's trying to complete my World War II battleship names. We've got the Hood. We've got Turpits. I mean, we're doing good.
If you write me a list, I'll put it up on the screen.
That concludes our spoiler review, spoiler talk on Star Trek Losing the Peace. Next week, we will be doing one of two books. Which one would you like?
I'm kind of tempted by that.
Show the audience. H.G. Wells' The Time Machine.
However, the other one is very tempting.
We'll get to that another time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. For the camera, Derek.
Thank you. Thank you. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No.
No, I mean, you've actually just called me a Picard fan.
Oh,
Bearing in mind, there's the show called Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard.
Okay, that's fair enough. Picard is a dreadful piece of shit. But Picard, he's alright.
But which Picard? Do you mean the original TNG Picard, the movie Picard, or the newer series Picard? Because they're three different characters.
I'm wondering if I can do, like, PTSD.
Or there's a Picard in the books. I swear at one point he gaslights someone. But yeah.